The Stolen Blueprint. 10 African Inventions the World Borrowed. We are told that the modern world was built in the laboratories of Europe and the tech hubs of Silicon Valley. We are taught that progress always flowed from west to east. But what if the very foundations of your smartphone, your medicine, and even your calendar were borrowed from a continent the history books tried to erase? Today, we aren't just talking about artifacts. We are talking about stolen science. From the 16-bit algorithms of West Africa to the high-tech steel furnaces of Lake Victoria, we are uncovering the 10 inventions the modern world took and then conveniently forgot where they came from. Welcome back to Hidden Heritage. This is the home for those who know that Africa's future is written in its past. If you're ready to see the world through a lens of truth rather than a lens of tradition, you belong here. Every story we tell is a brick in the wall of our reclaimed history. If you want to help us grow this archive and spread these truths, hit that subscribe button right now. We are a family of truth seekers, and we're just getting started. Let's look at the blueprints they didn't want you to see. 1. Binary logic and the IFA system. Most people credit Gottfried Leibniz with inventing the binary code that powers every computer on Earth today. But a millennium before Leibniz, the Yoruba people of West Africa were using a sophisticated 16-bit mathematical algorithm known as the Ifa divination system. This wasn't just a spiritual ritual, it was a data processing system. Practitioners use palm nuts to generate a sequence of marks. Each mark is a choice between two states, essentially a 1 or a 0. This leads to one of 256 possible outcomes known as ODU. When I first realized that our ancestors were using bit processing logic to store a massive database of oral history, it changed how I looked at my own phone. Modern computer scientists now recognize IFA as one of the oldest systematic applications of binary logic. The digital revolution wasn't a Western invention, it was an African rediscovery. 2. Haya high-tech steel. While Europeans were struggling to produce high-quality iron as late as the 1800s, the Haya people of Lake Victoria had already mastered advanced metallurgy. Archaeological research uncovered forced draft furnaces in Tanzania that reached temperatures of over 1,800 degrees Celsius. That is nearly 300 degrees hotter than anything Europe could produce at the time. Their secret? They preheated the air before it hit the charcoal using clever clay blowpipes. This technique, which the West wouldn't replicate until the Industrial Revolution, allowed these African smiths to create high-carbon steel 2,000 years ago. The age of steel didn't start in a British factory. It started in a Tanzanian village. 3. The Ugandan C-section. In 1879, a Scottish medical student named Robert Felkin witnessed something in the kingdom of Bunyoro that defied everything he knew. He saw a successful C-section. At that time, a C-section in Europe was almost always a death sentence due to infection. But in Uganda, surgeons were using banana wine as both a highly effective antiseptic and a natural anesthesia. They didn't just cut, they cauterized vessels with red-hot irons to prevent hemorrhaging and massaged the uterus to ensure it contracted properly. Both mother and baby survived. This proves African medicine had mastered germ theory and complex surgery long before Western hospitals even learned how to sanitize a room. 4. Fractal cities of Benin. When Westerners first saw the Great Walls of Benin, they called the layout disorganized. The truth is, they just lacked the mathematics to understand it. Ethnomathematician Ron Eglash proved that Benin City was designed as a perfect fractal. Every neighborhood mirrored the royal palace in a self-similar mathematical pattern. This allowed the city to grow infinitely while maintaining a perfect organic order. These earthworks were at 1.4 times longer than the Great Wall of China. We are only now, in 2026, trying to build smart cities, using the same fractal logic the people of Benin perfected centuries ago. 5. The smallpox secret. In 1721, smallpox was devastating Boston. People were dying in the streets. An enslaved West African man named Onesimus told his owner about a practice from his homeland called variolation. By scratching infected material into a healthy person's skin, they created permanent immunity. It worked, and it paved the way for the modern vaccine. History books call Edward Jenner the father of immunology, but the real credit belongs to Onesimus. His knowledge was extracted, used to save a city, and then his name was erased from the victory. This is why we do this, to give the names back to our heroes. The precision astronomy of Kenya. High above the Turkana region of Kenya lies Namaratunga, a 2,300-year-old astronomical observatory. This site consists of 19 massive basalt pillars perfectly aligned with 7 specific star systems, including the Pleiades and Orion. The Eastern Cushitic people used these alignments to develop a 12-month calendar so accurate it tracked the seasons with zero margin for error. What fascinates me most is that these pillars prove our ancestors understood the Earth's rotation and the movement of the cosmos long before the telescope was even a dream. They weren't just looking at the stars, they were calculating them. The world's oldest mine. When we think of industrial mining, we think of 19th century Europe. But the Ngwenya mine in Eswatini proves that systematic industry didn't start in the West. Carbon dating confirms this mine was active 43,000 years ago. Think about that timeline. While humans elsewhere were just beginning to organize, ancient African miners were already extracting specularite and hematite for a continental trade network. This wasn't just a small pit, it was a multi-generational industrial operation. It reminds us that Africa didn't just provide the raw materials for the modern world. We were the ones who first mastered how to extract them. 8. The Mali Empire Atlantic Fleet. In 1311, nearly 200 years before Columbus, the Malian Emperor Musa Abu Bakr II abdicated the wealthiest throne on earth to answer a scientific question: what lies at the end of the Atlantic? He equipped a fleet of 2,000 ships. While Western history ignores this because the fleet didn't return to colonize, Arab historians recorded the account directly. Modern research into the Canary Current proves that if you launch a ship from the coast of Mali, the ocean current literally carries you straight to the Americas. Our ancestors were explorers with the naval engineering and courage to cross the world's most dangerous ocean centuries before the Age of Discovery. 9. The Golden Ratio of Ife. When Europeans first laid eyes on the 12th century Ife bronze heads, they claimed they must have been made by lost Greeks because they couldn't believe Africans were capable of such perfect anatomical realism. In truth, Yoruba craftsmen had mastered lost wax casting, a highly technical metallurgical process, and the golden ratio long before the European Renaissance. These sculptures are a peak of human mathematical art. Every curve and every proportion follows a geometric precision that proves the artists were mathematicians. They captured the soul in bronze using science the West wouldn't catch up to for another 300 years. 10. The Ethiopian calendar. Finally, let's talk about time itself. Ethiopia still uses a solar calendar known as the Behir Hazeb, which is arguably more scientifically grounded than the Gregorian calendar we all use. It features 13 months and calculates time based on the equator's consistent daylight hours. Because Ethiopia successfully defended its sovereignty and refused to adopt the Western standard, they remain 7 to 8 years behind our date, but they are actually ahead in astronomical logic. It's a living reminder that the way we measure our lives is a choice. The Ethiopian system is a masterpiece of independent calculation that refuses to be erased. It teaches us that we don't have to fit into someone else's timeline to be modern. Africa was the cradle of humanity, but it was also the cradle of the future. The inventions we use every day, from the code in our pockets to the steel in our buildings, have roots that run deep into our soil. The past isn't dead. It's just waiting for us to remember it. If you found value in these truths today, please hit the like button and share this with someone who needs to hear the real story of our world. Join the Hidden Heritage family by subscribing, and let's keep reclaiming our history together. In our next video, I'm diving into the dark matter of African history, the lost libraries that hold the secrets to ancient physics. You don't want to miss that. I'm your host, and the heritage continues. Thanks for watching.